There was a boy who wanted success more than anything else. Not in a loud, arrogant way, but with a deep, quiet yearning. He watched others rise, achieving things he had only imagined. And with each success he witnessed, a silent question formed inside him. How do they do it? The boy worked hard, but only in short bursts. On some days, he felt incredibly motivated, inspired, believing that real change was just around the corner. But that feeling never lasted. The excitement would inevitably fade, his discipline would weaken, and the routine would start to feel heavy and crushing. And every single time that boredom arrived, he would step away. He believed boredom was a sign of failure. If an activity felt boring, he assumed he was on the wrong path. If progress felt slow, he decided it was useless. If the effort stopped feeling exciting, he was convinced he was wasting his time. So he was always searching for something better, a faster method, a smarter trick, a clearer, easier answer. One day, the boy heard about a master. This wasn't a famous guru with thousands of followers, but a quiet person who lived simply and was rarely seen. People whispered that this master understood success on a profound level. Determined, the boy set out to find him. When he arrived, the place was calm. There were no grand signs, no crowds of followers, no noise. The master was sitting alone, seemingly doing nothing of importance. The boy felt a wave of confusion. He spoke quickly, afraid his courage might vanish. "I want to be successful," he said, his voice earnest. "I want to change my life. I want to grow." The master listened, his expression unreadable. After a long, heavy pause, the boy couldn't stand the silence anymore and asked, "What should I do?" The master looked at him gently and with a calm voice said just 2 words, "Sit here." The boy sat. Minutes ticked by. Nothing happened. He waited, expecting instructions, profound advice, maybe even a secret mantra. But the master remained silent. The quiet in the room grew thick and uncomfortable. After some time, the boy shifted in his seat. He felt restless, antsy. He craved movement, progress, action. Instead, all he got was boredom. Finally, he couldn't hold it in any longer. "I came here to learn," he said, a hint of frustration in his voice. "I didn't come here to just sit." The master nodded slowly. Then he said, "Good." The boy was completely baffled. "What do you mean, good?" he asked. The master replied, his voice as calm as a still lake. "Most people leave when boredom arrives." The boy didn't understand. He felt a little annoyed now. "How does being bored help me succeed?" he challenged. The master didn't answer directly. Instead, he just said, "Stay." So, the boy stayed. Time stretched on, moving painfully slowly. There was no entertainment, no stimulation, no excitement, just stillness and overwhelming boredom. But then, something strange began to happen. The boy started to notice his own thoughts with a new clarity. At first, they were loud and chaotic. He thought about all the other places he could be, other plans he could make, other shortcuts he could try. He desperately wanted a distraction. Then, his thoughts started to repeat themselves. The same worries, the same doubts, the same excuses, looping over and over. He had never realized how repetitive and predictable his own mind was. The feeling was deeply uncomfortable. His every instinct screamed at him to escape, to run from this internal noise. But the master remained perfectly still, a silent anchor. And so the boy stayed. As more time passed, something inside him began to soften. The sense of urgency faded. The restlessness weakened. For the very first time in his life, the boy experienced pure stillness without running away from it. The master finally spoke. "Boredom," he said, "is where most people quit." The boy listened, his whole being focused. "When excitement disappears," the master continued, "discipline is tested. When novelty fades," he said, "commitment is revealed." Something clicked inside the boy. A profound realization washed over him. He had always confused the fleeting feeling of excitement with actual progress. The master went on. "Success is built in the moments that feel ordinary," he explained. "The boring moments, the repetitive moments, the quiet moments." The boy felt a pang of discomfort hearing this. He wanted success to feel special, heroic, and exciting. The master looked at him, his eyes seeming to see right through him. "Do you know why most people fail?" he asked. The boy shook his head. "Because they leave when the work stops entertaining them." The boy thought about his life. He saw a long trail of abandoned projects and broken promises. How many times had he quit a new skill because it felt boring? How many habits had he given up on because the progress felt too slow, almost invisible? The answer was, too many to count. The master spoke again, his voice firm but kind. "Boredom is not the enemy," he said. "It is the gate." The boy listened, hanging on every word. "When you pass through the gate of boredom," the master continued, "true focus begins. When you stay despite the boredom," he said, "true discipline is formed." The boy finally understood. Every skill he admired in others required endless repetition. Every achievement he dreamed of required immense patience. Every change he so desperately needed in his life required one simple thing: staying put when things got dull. The master stood up slowly. "Come back tomorrow," he said. The boy nodded. The next day, he returned. The master asked him to sit again. No new instructions. No fresh excitement, just repetition. The boy felt the familiar wave of boredom wash over him. But this time, he didn't fight it. He stayed. Days turned into weeks. The boy began to notice subtle but powerful changes. His mind wandered less. His ability to focus for long periods grew stronger. His desperate need for constant stimulation started to fade away. He began applying this lesson to every area of his life. When his practice felt boring, he continued. When his progress felt invisible, he stayed with it. When the initial excitement disappeared, he did not quit. Slowly, but surely, something powerful began to form within him. Consistency. The boy realized a crucial truth. Most people don't lose because they lack talent. They lose because they refuse to endure boredom. One day, the boy asked the master, "Is this really the secret to success?" The master smiled gently. "There is no secret," he replied. "Only staying." The boy left that place a changed person. He wasn't buzzing with excitement or temporary motivation. Instead, he felt grounded, solid, and calm. Years later, the boy became successful. It didn't happen overnight. It wasn't a dramatic explosion of fame or fortune. It happened quietly, steadily, day by day. And when people would ask him how he did it, how he achieved so much, he would answer with a simple, honest truth. I stayed when it got boring. Success, he learned, did not come from bursts of intensity. It came from quiet endurance. And in that, the boy understood the final lesson. Boredom is not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you are closer than you've ever been before. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content to help you on your journey. See you in the next one.